Hey y'all, and welcome to part 2 of making a tumbler with PDB Creative Studios glitter pack. If you saw part 1, you know that we did split up the glitter pack this time and use it on 2 different tumblers, and I did promise you I was going to show you another way to apply fulls to your tumbler rather than the full glue. So here we are using a piece of double-sided adhesive. This is the Shape Tape from Artistry, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways to apply your fulls to this. So one of the ways is to go ahead and cut off your sheet. You're going to apply the fulls directly to the double-sided adhesive and then apply it to the tumbler using the hinge method just as you would vinyl. Once you have your fulls on there, you're going to lift that up just like you would a piece of vinyl, trim off a piece of that backing, line it up on your tumbler, and then very gently press that exposed piece down and work your way around the tumbler, pressing the double-sided adhesive with full down and removing the back at the same time. You do want to be gentle with this and not put too much pressure on it so you don't move your fulls or damage them. You can trim this to exact size if you're good like that, but I'm not. So I do have to flip it all the way around, overlap my seam, and then trim it with my craft blade. But sometimes this does cause the adhesive on the back side of our double-sided tape to stick to our fulls, and it did leave a little bit of residue. My favorite way to apply is to put the double-sided adhesive on the tumbler first and then apply the fulls. But I am by far not a master at applying full wraps to my tumblers. If you want to see some real skills on that, go check out Kelly at Dixie Darlings. She is on YouTube and does lots of lives on her Facebook business page. So definitely make sure you check her out if you want to watch a pro. Alright, so in part 1 of these tutorials with the sunflower tumbler, you saw us add fulls using Southern Belle Glitter Full Glue. We just did the application with where we trim our double-sided adhesive, add our fulls to it, and then apply them to the tumbler. This time, we're going to add the double-sided adhesive to the tumbler first. Remove that top protective layer. We're going to trim off a piece of our fulls and then apply it to our tumbler. Again, I would have typically used some leftover epoxy for glitter application, but in this case, since it's such a small area, I didn't want to waste any epoxy or really just take the time to mix it for such a small area. So we're using, again, the glitter glue from Crystal Company. I'm going to give this a pretty good coat since we're going to ombre a couple glitters, using the same makeup brush that we used in part 1 to get good, even, and streak-free coverage. We're using pink peony for the center, so I'm going to go heavy in the center and then tilt my tumbler down towards the table and then up away from the table so I can allow that glitter to fall in the top and bottom sections. Since we have a really good ombre going with our first glitter, I'm going to go in just heavy with Butterfly Kisses. I gave our glitter glue about 2 hours to dry and then sealed this in really well with 2 coats of Rust-Oleum Matte Clear, and then gave it 2 coats of epoxy, sanding in between those layers so it is glossy and smooth for our decals. All of the decals we're using on this one is from Gracefully Created. This is the Aztec White Element Sheet, and I'm not gonna lie, this one is hard to apply, y'all. I probably redid this honestly about 15 times, and I did plan on adding in all those bloopers, but you know, phone storage issues because I have so much footage on my phone. It is unreal, and this took me way too long. But on a positive note, this is removable vinyl, just as all the other decals from Gracefully Created, which I love. And even though I removed this upwards of 15 times or more, it continued to hold its shape, did not compromise the quality of my image, and it still stuck to my tumbler and stayed in place once I finally got it lined up. After applying this, I realized I did not have my cream colored vinyl I usually use with this pattern. So I trimmed off a little piece of that Aztec design, and we're going to cover up the seam between our glitter and our fools. Now, normally I measure the section I want to apply my vinyl in, trim it exactly to size, and apply, and it goes on pretty straight. But this time I wanted to show you how I would use a vinyl trimmer tool. I have all this excess on the bottom. I'm going to use my heat gun on a low heat setting just to shrink that vinyl a tiny bit over the edge and make it more flexible. Once I have done that, I'm going to pull the vinyl just ever so slightly around that bottom side to give it a real good curve around the bottom of our tumbler. I'm going to trim off that excess so it's not really lumpy when we use our vinyl trimmer tool. I'm going to grab my trimmer tool from CAMIPAIGE Boutique. I'm using the half spacer, which you do have to purchase in addition to the vinyl trimmer. I'm going to put a good bit of pressure on my tumbler, keeping the vinyl away from the edge, and it's gonna pull all of that excess right off and leave you with a perfect seam. The decal I'm using has not yet been released at Gracefully Created. It will be very soon, so make sure you are a part of our Brittany Barnes Boutique Tumbler art group if you would like to have this decal. This is going to make me feel old saying this, but my grandmother used to get me these beautiful Precious Moments figurines from the Hallmark store, and seeing this beautiful picture just reminded me so much of that. And really, any picture of a mama holding on to her baby is just, I don't know, it gives me all the feels as a mom, so I love it. Anyway, I'm going to add on some of the peony elements from Gracefully Created as well, just in a few random spots to bring this all together. I think it really pulls in the colors from that top decal into the bottom and helps tie everything together. I will say, anytime I'm using decals, I do not layer them like this if they have a clear border around the edge. If you layer clear decals, you will be able to see the outline of the top, even after you epoxy, and we do not want that. This is like the OG sheet. I'm pretty sure that the newer version of the peonies actually has a clear border around the edge. If you grab these and it does have that clear border, make sure you put a layer of epoxy in between your first decal and your peonies. Once I finished adding on all of my decals, there was no need to seal, so I went straight into adding my final coats of epoxy. For my first coat, I used Turbo from A Little Extra Incorporated. I have seen a little bit of confusion, and I wanted to clear it up really quick. There is another epoxy company that released a Turbo epoxy after A Little Extra Incorporated did theirs. A Little Extra ink is in no way related to that other epoxy brand, and they really truly have an amazing fast set epoxy as well as regular set. Just look at the shine. And y'all, I am not knocking any other company. That's not how I roll. I don't want any negative comments. I have just been asked if the products or companies are related, and I have seen that question before, so I just wanted to clear it up for you. I love this tumbler, and I hope you do too. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below and I'll answer them as quickly as possible. All materials we have used will be listed in the description. All of these glitters have been released individually, and I'll have a coupon code down below for you as well. That is all for today. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next time.